going on, Jerome's? So the 2023 season for the Minnesota Vikings did not turn out the way that we expected it to. But we'll get into all draft position stuff. A couple things to be sorted out in the late games. Vikings will be drafting between 9 and 12. And we'll get to the deepest quarterback class in NFL history. So Vikings should be good in the hood. But just want to say, first off, thank you very much for coming along for this season. And it's not like we're going away. This will remain because, frankly, off-season stuff is, in a way, more fun than the season. I understand football, and the Vikings going to win a dozen Jerome Bartys in the next 10 years. But hirings, firings, free agency, trades, cuts, the draft, super interesting to me. And I love it. So hopefully you come along for that. And also, here's a note too. So we've grown and shown a little bit as a channel. And I've always said, I don't want to become a big channel because I don't care, because then you have to involve everyone. And I feel like, especially over the last couple of weeks when the Vikings, holy crap, they lost 6 out of 7. When the Vikings hit a little bit of a skid mark towards the end of the season and left some skid marks in their drawers. Some people have come in like way too into their feelings and can't have that. Like, I love the Jeromes. Especially love the OG Jeromes who understand that we're going to talk some ish. We're going to make jokes. We're going to make fun of everyone, including ourselves, a lot. So honestly, if you take sports ball too seriously, this ain't the spot for you. And I'm not saying if that's good, bad, or otherwise. There's a lot of options, and you're free to do what you want. But again, if you're not here for some laughs and a little bit of knowledge, this ain't the channel for you, bro. That's all I'm saying. Again, love our close-knit pack of the OG Jeromes who actually get it. So there you go. But the Vikings, it's been, I don't even know what to make of this. So on one hand, you are uber frustrated because 8 of the Vikings' 10 losses, the first 8, came from single-score games where they all lost the turnover differential, and coulda, woulda, shoulda beat the Bucs and the Eagles and the Chargers and the Chiefs, and then the Broncos and the Bears games were just infuriating. Just the coaching in them was so bad. The game plan for Dobbs with the Bears was so bad. It was just disgusting, right? And you had the 1-4 start, won 5 games in a row without Justin friggin' Jefferson. Also won 2 games without Kirk Cousins. Thank you, Josh Dobbs, the Passionate. Doesn't it seem like Passionate Mania happened like 9 years ago? Seems like it, man. But then, I mean, you lose 6 out of 7, you should probably not make the playoffs. But it was so frustrating because after the Saints game, the Vikings were like 85% to make the playoffs. And then now there's a lot of blame to go around. Like you could say that it's execution. You could say that it's coaching. You could say that it's injuries. All the above. All the above. And on one hand, all these close games, the Vikings shoulda, coulda, woulda made the playoffs. But also on the other hand, with all the injuries, especially to key players and key positions, it might be a miracle if the Vikings won 7 games. Who knows, man? But either way, it all start with Justin Jefferson tweaking up that hamstring against the Chiefs. Missed 7.5 games. Still had a 1,000-yard season, which is a testament to him. And you saw the passion that he had against the Lions in basically a meaningless game. Vikings had like this much chance to make the playoffs, but all he wants to do is win, and he gets pissed off when others around him don't want to do the same. And JJ, he's what you want to call it, the Mamba mentality, the Jordan mentality, whatever. Jefferson's got that. He wants to win, and we've said this 17,000 times. With his contract, it's not that the money isn't there. The money's going to be there, but he wants to know whose quarterback is going to be here with the Vikings, right? And that's something that the Vikings have to sort out because Kirk, I mean, that's really where the season took a turn, man, because yes, Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson were here at the 1-4. Yes, fully understand that. But, I mean, Kirk played some inspired football. That Niners game, as well as the first Packers game, was some of the best that I've ever seen Kirk Cousins. And then when Kirk popped that Achilles on the greasy, grimy Green Bay Packers stupid grass, that's when it turned. That's when it turned. So the Vikings, they went 3-6 the rest of the way. It's pretty much par for the course. But after 2 wins, you're thinking, oh, we got it made, man. And then going into the bye, ideally you would have nicked a win against the Broncos and or the Bears, especially the Bears game, but sort of is what it is. And then the Vikings just really collapse. I mean, you scored 3 points in the win against the Raiders. Congratulations. You gave away that Bengals game at the end. You had chances against the Lions, many chances on Christmas Eve, and then no call, no show against the Packers, even though with a win you were 50-50 to make the playoffs, which is just, yeah. But it does come back to Kirk and him being 36 and him coming off an Achilles that could damper his free agent prospects, and he should be back with the Vikings. I think that a 1 or 2 year deal would make sense. That does not preclude the Vikings from drafting the quarterback of the future in the first round. And, I mean, Kirk was playing some inspired football. I think the Vikings could have the best of both worlds here. And with Kevin O'Connell, I mean, respect. 13-4, win the division last year. You're one Hockenson broken tackle away from winning a wild card game, which is great. But, I mean, this year, it's a little bit of a Rorschach test with Kevin O'Connell this year, where you see the good. I mean, you've won 5 games in a row without Justin Jefferson, the best receiver in the game. That's nothing to sneeze at. Also, you won 2 games with Josh Dobbs at quarterback. You won 2 games without Kirk Cousins right afterwards. But, I mean, coaching decisions as well as turnovers, and it was a mess in the 1-4. And you could say turnovers, yes, but also coaching decisions. Like the play calling at the end of the Broncos game was atrocious. The game plan all game against the Bears was bad. Same thing with the Raiders. The play calling at the end of the Bengals game with the 2 straight tush pushes behind the smallest center in the league with the smallest guy on the team doing the pushing with Nick Mullins, who's like 180 pounds. No. And then, the Vikings, of course, the game plan against Detroit was just whatever. And just an uninspired performance on Christmas Eve against the Packers at home. This one still pisses me off where, yes, injuries, yes, everything, but your team had 0 fire, 0 spark. They did not care. They did not give two doo-doos about the outcome of that game, and that's on coaching. All right, so you got to know your locker room, and it goes back to Zimmer. Like that, every single year, but like clockwork, there would be 1 or 2 games where the team would just no call, no show under Zimmer. That was one of those with O'Connell. And we had seen one of those, including 40-3 last year against the Cowboys. There was still some fight in that game, but it was shocking. It was shocking. And also, the first quarter against the Lions was very similar until they got off the canvas and got after it. But I'm not saying that Kevin O'Connell should be fired. I think that'd be a little bit premature. I think that he's a guy who's learning on the job. Both as a head coach as well as a play caller, as well as a manager of games, a manager of people. I mean, that's a lot to learn from a guy who was an OC but didn't call plays. And I do think that his seat should be warm heading into 2023. Same thing with Kwesi adofo-mensah. But ideally, the Vikings would be able to retain Brian Flores for another year. I think that he will be a hot head coaching commodity, but I think the Flores has earned the right to be choosy, especially given the way that things went down with the Dolphins. So if the Vikings have Flores back and the Vikings upgrade personnel on the defensive side of the ball, I think that they have a chance to be a top 5 unit. Firmly believe that. But going into the draft, I mean, the Vikings sitting at either 9-12, depending on how some of these late afternoon games go, they will be in position to draft their guy. And we said this all the time, like when the Vikings were fighting for the playoff lives, hell, some fans wanted to tank after 0-3 and 1-4. All right, so those are very unserious ones. But again, I do understand. Well, seeing the forest through the trees and losing the battle to win the war, sort of thing. Fully understand that. And frankly, if this was a 1 quarterback class or 1 or 2 quarterback class, I may have been on board. But you can't just look at every draft like it's a vacuum. Like this draft is really damn good and really damn deep and really damn top-heavy at quarterback. And the Vikings at 12, I mean, there could be 6 quarterbacks in the first round. There could be 10 in the top 100 picks. And you don't have to be at the tippy top to find your guy. All right? And also, you look at the Texans last year, everyone was pissing on them because they won their last game against the Colts, and then they dropped down from 1-2, and there's like, oh, you missed out on Bryce Young. It worked out. Worked out with C.J. Stroud. No big deal. But the Vikings, say they draft at 10 or wherever they draft, 9 to 12. Could they be able to trade up into the stratosphere? Yes. I probably wouldn't be able to trade with the Bears because I don't think the Bears would ever live down if the Vikings got a franchise quarterback. But if you want to move up for May, Williams, or Daniels, and all the rumors that Kwesi and company were ready to move up for Anthony Richardson last year, I think the Vikings want to move. Or if they just stick and pick, could Penix Jr. get down to you? Maybe. Same thing with Bo Nix. Same thing with McCarthy. Ewer should be available if he declares. Or day 2 guys like Jordan Travis or Cam Ward or Michael Pratt. Again, Jordan Travis. Kwesi loves the injured guys. Who knows? But either way, I mean, this season was uber frustrating, and you could chalk it up to the Vikings literally giving away the season at the start and also at the end. I guess turnovers were murder. That's something that the Vikings just desperately need to work on in the offseason. And also, you forget that the Vikings D-line coach, as well as the edge rushing coach, just like said deuces in the middle of the season. You forget that. I don't know, man. But either way, the Vikings, they have some decisions to make. Is Kirk going to be back? Is JJ going to be extended? Danielle Hunter, is he going to be back? Is Harrison Smith going to be back? What about the D-line? Beef that thing up. Who's going to be the quarterback of the future? But, I mean, they found some nice young players. Jordan Addison is going to be a star in this league. Ivan Pace Jr. is going to be the heartbeat of that defense for many years to come. Metellus and Beasley really popped out, but I don't know. There's a lot of questions for the Vikings this offseason, and at least it comes from a good place. And with the Vikings, with JJ and Addison and TJ come back from injury, with the tackles, and with O'Connell, and also potentially sitting behind Kirk for a year, I mean, it's a great spot for a young quarterback. But there are a lot of questions, and you can be disappointed. You can be relieved that the season's over. You can be excited about the future. You can feel all those things. Or it could be just pissed off about the year too. I feel like all of those processes are valid, and all of them are, frankly, probably necessary to move on. But either way, again, tip of the cap to you guys. Thank you very much for coming along this season, and stick around for all the off-season stuff because we got a ton of it. Maybe too much of it, man. But again, Jerome's, especially the OG Jerome's, you guys are the best. Skol, production value.